Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Travis Told You. Kind of impromptu, I don't know. It's, mostly it's because I've not been on news in quite a little bit. If you look this way, this is the town hall. Oh my god, the water's all the way over there. Okay, watch this. I'm gonna get out of frame. And right back. Look at that. Got the new setup. I can roll around a bit here. The setup I got right now, I like it. The only thing is, so I'm making room for new posters. That's why I wanted to show off the back a bit more. And right now, I don't want to turn the background on. Right now, the background and the posters are very much like in a point where it's just like if you're not in the middle, it looks off center. So the good thing is with the new things coming in, it won't be as much as I like that. I think some of these will stick around, but I should get it in because I got a lot talking about. Reason I'm not live is because I didn't know exactly when I was going to record this, and this was the best time to record it, but I'd be going live into, obviously, check out our podcast network, where we got a slew of shows and great hosts and podcasters that talk about this stuff, and DC Alliance is being recorded on Monday. They go live at 5 p.m. right now, so I didn't want to cut it. I didn't think I could be done, and I didn't want to cut into that. That's not my deal. My deal is like running the network or stuff. And I'm like, well, you know what? This is the best time that works for me, so we're going to bump your show that's regularly scheduled. No, so that's right. In the future, I may do sort of recordings like this if it works out that way, but usually Travis Told You'll be on the Sunday, Monday, stuff like that. Just last night, just couldn't get to. We had lots of family stuff going on. Nothing bad, just all positive stuff, just like decorations and errands and this and that and house cleaning. Got a nice Halloween party going on soon, so either way, everything you need to know is down in the links below. The video, the audio, Discord, the aforementioned podcast network, the Patreon, where you could be watching and listening to this live right now. Not sure what's dropping in the main feed, but that's why in the future, this or other podcasts when we record, you can go there. Whole bunch of tiers to check out different things, so you go check that out. Most importantly, November 5th is our 24-hour Extra Life charity stream. We're going to be streaming 24 hours, 9 a.m. PST, trying to raise $3,500 towards BC Children's Hospital. We announced who's hosting the DC trivia. I'm very excited. Speaking of DC, the film junkie Dave Pena. You guys know, as far as like we've been on there, you may know him a little bit, but go check out his channel. He's somebody that haven't known him for a year. Just like he promoted the stream, he's talked. He had us on Vodka Stream, which we're very thankful for. And ever since then, I consider him an online friend. Which not that I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's just I didn't even know the guy, and he was courteous enough to do that. And even this year, he's courteous enough to give us some of his free time, host the DC stuff. So you're going to be for the trivia battle, I guess I should say. There's a bunch of events going on. 7 events, title matches, the end of our esports league, Monopoly, just the regular shenanigans, and yes, the trivia battle, the Call of Duty Kirklin best of 5 Call of Duty match, and then me and Taylor in a ladder match. Oh my! It's November 5th. You're gonna want to tune in. It's gonna be a show. But I'm not used to this new stuff. I keep looking down. There's no one there. There's no one there to look down at. But it's me. I'm up here. But anyway, so let's get into this. So we have lots of stuff to talk about. Where is my phone over here? So this article dropped out of nowhere, I'd say. I think the only I don't know for sure if it's the only reason, but one of the reasons it definitely dropped, I feel, is because like that Ezra news came out where they are facing some charges and stuff, could face up to 26 years. That's never gonna happen. It's bad press, but that's not gonna happen. Don't worry about that. Well, again, if the person's guilty, of course they should be. But I'm just saying, if you're wondering, like, is that really gonna happen? I don't think so, but maybe that's why this came out today. It's also Black Adam week, so people are maybe they know people are hyped right now. There's Superman news like buzzing about that. I feel like The Rock has just pretty much been like, yeah, Superman's in this movie. You may as well just post a clip on his Instagram. But anyways, so all this stuff is going on, and this article from Hollywood Reporter drops with tons of reports and everything like that. I'm going to start with what I consider the juiciest, just because I'm biased. Got my Joker shirt on, got the red right now for the Batman. But this article covers the Batman, James Gunn, Cavill, Rock, Flash 2 being written, like all these things. Like there's a tons of stuff going on in this article. But anyway, so the article, and I'm not going to read it verbatim. Thank God for the the, what are they called? The aggregators that just take little bits, a piece of it, and like, oh, we're gonna do this. Because like I could read it, but I would recommend reading it though, because it gives lots of behind the scenes on problems Rock had with the former president, the person who's like the new president right now. So anyway, so one of the main points, and obviously the one that just came out of nowhere, because we got the Batman, right? And obviously it feels like forever ago, but really it was just in March. Like that's how, like, I'll say most of the time I try to remind fans, like, we're so spoiled and selfish, and we're so lucky. Just take it with a grain of salt and just enjoy what you got. Not a grain of salt, but just like, just be happy we're getting all this stuff. Where I'm like, okay, we got the Batman 2 in March, or we got the Batman in March. Where are all the details? Where's the updates on the sequel? But anyway, so we didn't get a per se update on the sequel. I think it just said, "Oh yeah, he's still working on it with company." Cool. I'm expecting. I think it will be less, but I'm expecting about 3 years ish. I got the same. Oh, I got the that was a good neck crack. I got the same expectations I do with the Nolan trilogy, as far as that was every 3 years. If it's sooner, great, but if not, that's kind of what I'm expecting. 4 years is when I'm gonna be antsy, but 3 years, that to me makes sense. 1 year release, the production, production, marketing, everything could be more, especially with delays all the time now, right? But anyway, so this article, which was like, okay, a few weeks ago, the Penguin news was coming out of, it has a director. Colin Farrell's like, oh, we've seen scripts and I really like it. And it takes place a week after the Batman. It literally says like it's flooding around him and stuff. So it's like, okay, this is all great. We're getting updates. And there was some article, I can't remember if it was Deadline or Hollywood Reporter, but they said, this is the one of many projects Reeves is working on. And I just assume, okay, that is one, the Arkham show, the show that was Gotham PD that went to Arkham. Okay. And then maybe a couple others. Still want to know, hey, what you got cooking right now, Matt Reeves? Like, what is he cooking? Tell me. So this was a pleasant surprise, but a welcome one. So here's just discussing films, like quick grab of it. But Matt Reeves is meeting with writers and directors for the Batman spin-off TV shows and movies focused on Batman's rogues gallery. Various projects from Scarecrow, Clayface, Professor Pig are very much in the early stages of gestation. I know that's only like 3 to 4 sentences there, but that's so much for me to take in. That's tons of stuff, because there's so much things going on with this where, let's go with just the movie TV route. The movie thing very much surprises me. The fact that I thought the show's Penguin, a Gotham Arkham show with Joker. Okay, sure. I thought that was the route to go. To do spin-offs, I thought that was not its ballpark, because what it kind of knocks its head on a little bit, which I don't think is a bad thing per se, and maybe he has his hands in a little, I doubt it, but you have Joker, right? And you have Joker 2. Obviously, Todd Phillips was like, hey, we're doing... what is it? We want to try and do a black label, and DC is like, let's wait and see. To me, this is obviously not a black label, because these are films that would be, and I'm going to talk about the films separately, because I feel like there's one in particular people are going to lose their shit over and be like, see, there's a chance. Calm down, just wait on your whole realism versus non-realism. Just before you get too excited, just hear what I have to say. So the fact that, to me, everyone's like, well, hope Joker 2, well, people are mixed on Joker 2, but people are like, okay, Joker 2 is going to happen. Maybe I'm not so excited about that, but hopefully that'll open the door to more Batman-oriented things like this, or just DC projects in general. I think that's definitely still open, but this idea of people being like, where's a Scarecrow? Where's this? All these films people are pitching, where's a Clayface? That's in this article. Now, the tough thing is with these movies, they could just be pitches and ideas. This is literally it says early gestation, right? So to me, that is not whispers, but that's just minor conversations about what if we did this, right? But they're big enough to reach it to the Hollywood Reporter, and they're talked about in a board meeting. There are probably maybe scratch at millions now. If you think about how long films been around, millions of films that were pitched and talked about. Even if it's just a script they wrote, like a treatment for, like, not that. There's been so many like movies pitched over the years, especially I imagine for IP and stuff. So we can never see these and be like, oh, remember when they were doing that? But this article was titled like a new chapter or a change for DC. Like that's where it was, and that's where I think you see a shift happening, where you have other people, which I'm going to talk about in a second, that are now kind of not firmly in place of the DC leadership, but sounds like it's just kind of, it sounds like someone got it by proxy of, what, we haven't found anybody, you fit this bill, let's run with this and see how you do. And we're going to talk about the Rock side of the story, because that part is fucking wild. So you get this going on, right? And you have, does this mean that Todd Phillips' Black Label could be about all DC and type of, like a Swamp Thing, something like that? Sure. To me, it's like I don't think you're going to get I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to get a Philip Scarecrow movie and a Matt Reeves Scarecrow movie, you know? And that's one of the things I do like about Matt Reeves already having an established universe. He's been around, Batman's been around for a year, and then maybe even a little more longer since we get him to the next film. There's lots to play with there. And I don't know what they're going to do, because you do run that scenario of the Sony thing, like, well, it's tough, right? Because Scarecrow, Clayface, Professor Pig, these are characters and villains that I very much want to see. I've said this before. I love the Joker. I'm always down for the Joker. I always think the director has I want to talk about a Batman Joker dynamic. Like I always think that that's something a director wants to do. But I've said before, if there was no trilogy of the Joker, which already didn't happen, I'd be completely fine, because there's so many rogues galleries that we haven't seen. So I'm 50-50, and I like the idea of just getting more movies set in the Batman's universe, because the reason why, and I could be wrong, but the reason why I'm just maybe okay with these movies, and I don't think they're HBO Max, I think they're, I guess, would be theatrical, and that's the thing where it just said movies and TV shows. It's one of these things where it was an article said talking about movies and then these ones, right? There's still a chance these could also be talked about as TV shows as well, or the idea is they could be series, because it's stuff where you hear Zazoff talking about, oh, we want to do like tentpole movies for our DC stuff, but I don't think Professor Pig is a tentpole movie, But if you were to, and this would be the best thing, I can't remember, I saw someone tweet out like, oh, let's see Mike Flanagan's Clayface, absolutely. But if they were to go, okay, like, what just happened with Dahmer, bad example, but Dahmer, or like a movie to that equivalent, let's let someone do a Matt Reeves, because apparently he's on hands-on with this, right? Let's have someone do a movie in this universe, give it like a Blumhouse budget. Because Professor Pig, if you don't know much about him, he's a weird guy who wears a pig mask, and he's a serial killer. Done. There's more to the story, of course, but it's just like, that's the bare minimum. You don't need a big budget for that. And with these, I don't know too. With Professor Pig, I can see, okay, you're going to do a serial killer movie where Gotham PD's after him. Scarecrow is easy. I'm not going to say easy. Movies aren't easy to make. Trust me, as someone that's made half a movie, it fucking sucks. Lots of things can go wrong. But Scarecrow, I think you can see the pitch, right? Of, okay, psychiatrist fucking with his patients. Okay. Clayface, the actor that's tortured and everything like that. You can see all the stories. It's just the question of the budget. And yeah, that was the thing that worried me about Zazoff and those reports of needing to be big tentpole DC films, right? And I don't believe that. Obviously Birds of Prey, suffered, but then you have something like Joker that's a smaller budget. I think smaller budget films can survive. Just still go make your tentpole ones. Same thing is Marvel when we get like a Werewolf by Night, or we get even She-Hulk, which is like a comedy. Great, like that's the stuff I want. And with DC, I want them to do that as well. So what does that do for the universe? I don't know. Would Batman be in these? And this is where I'm a little torn, because I'd go, hey, Professor Pig, because I'm somebody all the time. I'd love it if they said, hey, in the Batman 2, we're doing Clayface when he's the guy and he transforms, he's big pile of mud, or hey, we're doing Mr. Freeze, and not like some real life version. We're doing Mr. Freeze where he's frozen, has ice, his veins, all that stuff. Freeze gun, go comic booky. Great. I've always said they're not going to do that. And I still think with these three characters, they're showing, I don't think they're going to do that. I think there's a way that they can get around this per se, right? So with these characters that go Clayface, Professor Pig, Scarecrow, I like their stories. And if it's what I should say first is I would, much like Sony, would rather these characters fight Batman or be in a Batman movie and then spin off, right? Or tell their story, right? A series, I'm a little less so, but even then, series, Penguin was in Batman, then we're getting more. Perfect. I kind of like their interactions first. But to me, if this is, hey, Matt Reeves is never going to use Clayface, Pig, or Scarecrow as a main villain, but I still want to tell stories about them, and they could get beat up. Like Scarecrow, look at the animated series, look at Pig. Like, you could beat these characters relatively easy. You could have a passive cameo and just take them all out, right? And that's, to me, the biggest puzzle piece with this before I get to the actual films is Professor Pig from the Book of Saw, 100%. Like, and that's the thing. Thank you, S Bubs, for tuning in, giving me that idea as far as you could just do low budget horror film, right? And I know that's not the tentpole he's talking about, but still, I think it's a good idea. So the thing with Matt Reeves, and I think Pattinson's a big puzzle piece too, is he's never crossed me as this guy that's going to do all these stuff, but at the same time, he's made it very clear he loves Batman. And the same thing, I can't remember what it was, but maybe it's unbiased because I'm in that situation. But there's so many times where I think people are talking about Matt Reeves, and they talk about other directors too, like, what do they want to do? Just make Batman projects their whole life? So Matt Reeves has been working since the early 2000s, maybe in the 90s. I can't remember when he did that David Schwimmer movie. He's directed a lot of movies. He's done Planet of the Apes. He's done Cloverfield. He's done Let Me In. He's done pilots for shows. He's done all this stuff, right? People make it sound like, oh, he's not had a career that maybe fulfilled him before. And there is a chance that, and I guarantee you, because there's some people that are like that, and people have had that before. They even say that, like with Snyder, when, oh, you don't want to come back because you just want to do C movies. I'm not saying they do, but look at even someone like James Gunn. I so badly want him to go do something original, but we're going to talk about him in the next story. Rumored to be working on another DC film. So he's done Guardians, Guardians 2, The Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, the Guardians Holiday Special, and then Guardians 3 coming up, and then he's doing the Secret movie, right? That's some guy that clearly he just wants to do comic book stuff. And you know why I can still appreciate that is because you only get you maybe only get the keys to the kingdom once with all these character stuff like that. Look at regime changes with Matt Reeves even included with this James Gunn thing. You get someone that comes in, doesn't like the Batman, doesn't think it's a good idea. Maybe the Batman 2 does like a little bit less than the Batman, and they're like, you know what, let's kill this universe. This is the time now for Matt Reeves if he loves this stuff. And to me, as far as all the directors, I think we've all said that. I don't want to, that's a complete subjective thing. But for me, the passion he has for Batman and how much he talks about Batman, I feel like he's the best grasp of Batman overall. Like maybe other than just the animated series creators and obviously some writers, like I'd say about Scott Snyder and stuff like that. But I mean, like he's taking in multiple adaptations where I feel like, okay, Nolan clearly likes this version and Snyder clearly likes this version and Burton clearly likes this version. Matt Reeves to me took like the best of all worlds from Batman and put them into one, very much like the animated series, right? So for me, there's a chance that if this guy did the Batman, Zaslav loved it, Warner Bros. Loved it, want him to do more, and they're just like, yeah, give us as much Batman as you want, until obviously maybe some stuff might go negative if it's refused poorly or does bad. As long as it makes money, I don't think they care, and it's at least generally liked. They, like, what if he does just want to do that? What if it's just, I don't mind doing, like, people don't say that fucking shit about James Cameron, you know? People, I guess, say some shit like me about, I just want to do original stuff, but no one's like, what does he want to do? Avatar films his whole life? I don't know if he wants to do them his whole life, but clearly he's very passionate about it, and he wanted to make 4 more. And even if, like, he does these 4 and he, like, somehow passes away, and hopefully not, I want to see James Cameron do more, because he's one of the GOATs, you know? If he wants to do that, then sure. I don't have much interest in it. I'm going to see the second one, see how it goes. But if he wants to do that, more power to him. So the same thing with Matt Reeves, and obviously I'm biased because I like his adaptation and his character and his film and everything like that and just the way he thinks. If he wants to make fucking 3 TV shows and 3 spin-offs and the Batman 2 and stuff like that, and he literally wants to be the Feige of the Batman universe, perfect. Do it. Let him let him go as long as he wants. I'm just saying as long as he wants to, but just be like for people that go, oh, does he just want to do superhero stuff? Yeah, maybe he does. Because I guarantee there's tons of people like at James Gunn, other people too, that just like that's what they want to do because they're passionate about it. And when he's tired, I'm sure he'd step away and stuff like that, right? So I'm very excited to see what could happen. I'm excited to see what could happen with Passon. And I've always said that, and I think other people aren't alone, where you have X-Men and then you have Batman. For me, that are 2 examples of we saw X-Men do it, and maybe we're about to see Batman do it. Batman, and this is, I don't know if we'll get there, because this is just like scratching the surface. I know so many people bitch and play, oh, we got so many Batmans and other Batman reboots, Batman, which there's to a level of true, but there's a reason why that, because success. But the thing is, with Batman on film, we've barely scratched the surface of like the Bat family, his rogues gallery, arcs, Damian Wayne. Like there's so much stuff. You still have decades worth of movies and TV shows with this character. I'd say more on film side, because obviously like Gotham dips in that and stuff like that, but and animation stuff. But for live action film, Batman Beyond, there's so much stuff. Even you want to make a full-on Dark Knight Rise, even though Batman versus Superman is similar to that in some aspects, adaptation of that, there's so much stuff. And that's where, to me, you could just keep going and going, and that can be like, you could have the DC universe and sure have a Batman and Justice League, but Batman universe could be by itself. It could carry a franchise, like a cinematic universe by itself, same way as X-Men, and we saw X-Men do it. Just because it had some meh films along the way doesn't mean they didn't carry a universe. They did. They created characters we loved, or like actors in the characters we love, movies we love, we want them back. So that's the thing where I'm completely on board with this. So I'm going to take my first ad break and we'll talk a bit about these films, and then we'll transition to the next piece. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So then we got the actual films, right? So, excuse me, Scarecrow. I think that's a no-brainer in the Batman universe. I guess maybe I'll start with Clayface. To me, I still think they're going to skew realistic. I think Clayface is the most unrealistic they're going to get. I think it's going to be very similar to Iron Man 1, where there is comic booky sci-fi stuff happening, but they're trying to base in reality. When you go from Iron Man to Endgame, he's fighting over stones, aliens talking raccoons. But if you take out Nick Fury and talk about like the Avengers Initiative and you're not alone in this world, take out that end credit scene. The actual movie, it's trying its best to base it in realism. It's trying its best just to be, okay, imagine if this happened in a real world, and we're going to try our best to get there. I think that's what Reeves wants to do here, where there's going to be comic booky stuff, but imagine if this was in the real world. Kind of like, again, people might not like this, but like what Nolan did with Bane. Okay, imagine this in the real world. This guy has a breathing problem, so that explains the mask. He's fucking super jacked, but he's not Venom and stuff like that. You know, he's just like working hard, eating lots, you know? So I think that approach where with Clayface, with these characters, to me, serial killer, like that's what I've said, you could do a Saw type film, horror film, Terrifier, whatever you want to do, horror film, serial killer, boom, done. Scarecrow, Arkham Asylum, that could be, and that's where these whispers, like, you could somehow get Scarecrow in that show. Maybe it turned into a movie, whatever it may be. Because when they say it's just like gestation, I think it's just people pitching ideas, right? And that's fine. Pitch them. Let's fucking go. But again, a doctor, psychiatrist in a jail experimenting on people with fear toxins and scary mask. Very easy, realistic to do. Clayface, same thing. And not same thing, because people probably go, oh, hey, you know, he's a big thing about. They could do some sort of, this actor has some sort of deformity. I don't want them to do that at all, because I think that's the cop-out lame version. I want a fucking big puddle of mud to be, you know, exploding and changing everything like that. But if you want to tell that story, you could still do it in a sense of, people have talked about, and there's even versions of like Chameleon, right? Where Chameleon, he has, what is it? He has multiple versions of, he has like a belt where he literally turns into somebody, but then there's sometimes where he's literally just like a master of disguise, you know, like he is somebody that just can take on a role, take on a face and stuff like that. And I don't know if I want to go that route, and especially because you even look at like the Joker we got going on right now. The Joker didn't fall in a vat of chemicals. We don't know why he has green hair and stuff like that. But if they want to do like the Matt Hagen route, if he's an actor, popular actor, trying to become a popular actor, and he falls in like a vat of chemicals or like he has some sort of accident with chemicals and stuff like that, where, okay, he can't see anymore, he's really hurt and stuff like that. Like what? How do we do that? You know, how do we tell that story? And you can tell the story of a deformed actor who goes a little mad, like finds some sort of face thing, turns to crime. I don't know. That gets in more of the kind of master disguise, Mission Impossible sort of thing. I don't really want that. I'll take this stuff regardless because I'm a Batman fan, but I want the other Clayface, and maybe they find some way to try and make that realistic. I don't think you do. I think Clayface is the tippy top of this shit. Doesn't, like, he's up there with Ra's al Ghul and Pools of Immortality, right? So we'll see, but I like all the ideas. The Clayface one, though, will be the test. Because I feel like a few months ago, even weeks ago, it was the talk of, oh, you know, people were like poo-pooing on, again, like, oh, realistic Batman and stuff like that. But if you don't like it and you see Clayface, like, man, they're going to do Clayface, here we go. Just hold on. We might not even get it, because they might even be like, what if we could do a real Clayface? And then they start to go, nah. The only one I really want here, which might not happen, because the same way I think these three could happen because they're not that crucial to what they're telling with this Bruce Wayne and this Batman, is Selina. But if Selina is crucial, like all her big arcs and moments are going to happen in the Batman trilogy, then I understand why. But I still think there's a movie or a series there where it is just, hey, oh God, I don't want this. As Bubs, the MCU Hollow Mask thing for Clayface. That would be fucking awful. But that even is more realistic, right? It's tech and stuff. I don't want that, but he did put a LOL, so don't worry. I don't think he's really pitching that. But yeah, that'd be a soul crush right there. But I do think there's still, you could get just an adventure with Selina, you know, much like that Catwoman Hunted movie that came out, it was animated, not as grandiose as that. And that movie, like, it had some moments that I thought was great of, like, of course, I'm shouting out like the sexual part, but there's a time where she like kind of tricks Batwoman using her sexuality, and it's like really emphasized throughout the movie that she doesn't care. Like, of course, she is attracted to Bruce Wayne or Batman, but she will just use that as a weapon, and she gets herself out of these situations. So that's the one I personally want. But we'll see. Again, if her story is more tied up to the trilogy, then I absolutely get it. So let's do the Man of Steel Superman thing, right? So and Black Adam. So apparently, uh, I'm not gonna full on spoil anything, right? But it's just about the Black Adam and Superman stuff. I think everyone's seen enough to feel like The Rock's talked about Superman enough to feel like he's promising this, right? And I'm not going to talk about any specific spoiler things that happen in the movie or anything like that, but if you want anything not talked about that aspect, skip ahead 5 to 7 minutes because I'm going to talk about The Rock's issues with older leadership, right? But even now, there's in this report, Man of Steel 2 is early in the works. And that's how this report starts, where, okay, it's funny because it just says this iteration of Warner Bros. Is very keen on having Henry Cavill be Superman in that iteration of Superman Return. Obviously, the big thing is what iteration, right? Because you got 2017 Justice League, you got Justice League, you got all this stuff. But I think it's just the Man of Steel one. I think it's going to pick up, get a sequel, and great. I don't know if I subscribe because tons of people think that Black Adam's going to happen on Monday morning. We're going to get, like a Black Adam tune-outs and Superman. I'm not going to go that far. I hope so. Fuck, I hope so. It feels so weird where I was because when I saw Man of Steel, I like it enough now. I would pass. I think I did always actually pass Man of Steel. I was always like a 5 out of 10. I think it's bumped up to like a 6. I like it enough, but it's so funny. I remember after that movie, there was like, oh, there's, we don't know when the next Man of Steel sequel was. Like, good. I don't need this anymore. And now in the point, like, when is the Man of Steel 2 happening? Like, when's Henry Cavill happening? Because just more love for Henry Cavill. But the idea is they're sold on the idea. It's in very early stages right now, but they're beginning to meet with writers, stuff like that. And this article even proposed that they were thinking about meeting or talking with Christopher McQuarrie. If you don't remember, Christopher McQuarrie in, I think it was the Mission Impossible Fallout press tour, he talked about him and Cavill sitting down, talking about Superman and ideas and stuff like that. Now, he said that he saw what happened to Rian Johnson after Last Jedi, and that scared him off, and he wouldn't do a comic movie. I don't know how much that's true because people kind of say stuff, right? And it could have been a situation where talks kind of fell through and it's kind of good for him to be like, well, I wasn't actually wanting to do Superman anymore. I'm not saying that's it, but they also proposed in this article that the reason he hasn't even been reached out to, because apparently he wrote a script. I don't know if they commissioned him or not. I think from what I've heard is that they at least paid him for a treatment or a script. Like he got paid to do some sort of work on it. I could be wrong, but at least no matter what him and Henry are talking about, because obviously Henry's in Fallout. So you have that going on. They said that the reason they haven't probably reached out to him again is because he's filming back-to-back Mission Impossibles. Absolutely makes sense, and that might not be in their plans, right? Because I do believe that, hey, it's gonna happen. James Gunn's Man of Steel 2. It's so funny. I think people would not be happy about that, but after people were scared about Taika doing it, I think they'd be like, you know what, give us that. But yeah, we'll get into the James Gunn thing in a second here. But either way, so it's in very early stages, reaching out to the writers and stuff like that. The J.J. Abrams, well, I guess let me talk about the Rock thing first because I told people to skip. So apparently what happened is we don't know if it's in the movie or not, wink, but, and I've not seen the movie, not seen anything. Whatever. Rock was as Black Adam, cast Black Adam making this movie, right? He wanted to put Superman. We've known about this for years. He wanted to put Superman in the movie. Apparently, that's what this thing was saying, that more stuff started to move. Like even these talks with Man of Steel, talk with Henry started to happen more around, I think they said July. And it's funny about Comic-Con and things like that. And I will credit Stephen Colbert, who he's on the Vodka Stream a lot. Go listen to, or I guess watch or read the stuff he writes at Screen Rag. He's a very intelligent guy, and I'm a big fan of him and his wife. I'm a big fan of them when they're on together. Like I'm a fan of them separately, but when they're on together, there's just lots of funny shit. Amanda's great. But with him, he had proposed, which I don't think he said he'd proposed it before, and I missed it because he said he'd tweet out, and also on Vodka Stream. Don't think it was on that Vodka Stream. And there's times where I will legitimately just go on a Twitter blackout, and people might go like, "Oh, you say that, but I see you tweet." Sometimes it's just the notifications, like discussing film, like Kroll. When I have them there, it'll pop up. Oh, tweet my opinion on that, and then move on. I'm not really scrolling the timeline much, but he proposed something of like, what if The Rock at Comic-Con tried to get booed on purpose to try and get things moving, right? Because he said this whole thing like, depends who plays Superman. And I think that's a good theory, actually, because that's the way The Rock is. And he pointed this out, and same thing. Like, I would know The Rock's history of wrestling and background. He knows what to do. He knows how to turn on a dime. Like, look at Hogan and him, and people aren't going to get this reference, but he was supposed to be the good guy going into 2002. The crowd turned against him, and he got more heel. He started like, he's a smart guy, so I could see that, and that's lining up with some of this. Like around July, more talks started to happen, right? Because apparently, he the rumor is one that Camille Hamada, previous president of Warner Brothers, or sorry, DC or whatever. Yeah, I think it was president of DC Films, but it wasn't like a Feige title. I can't remember what it was, the official title, but he said no. He didn't want to do that because he had plans for other Superman stuff and everything like that. Apparently, so what is their name? Michael DeLuca and Pam Abby, I think it is. Yeah, DeLuca and Abby. So they were the people that came over from MGM. I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but they came over. I think it was before Alan Horn came over, but they came over as like they're going to be advisors, and even right now they're going to be advisors to DC till we find somebody. The word is that Dan Lin was the guy. That was the plan. Big Dan Lin. Didn't happen. So these people have been doing it, and Mike DeLuca has a bit more of like geek cred and stuff like that. So they seeming are like the kind of just by de facto leaders. Now it's funny, I don't know if it's just that no one else is taking this job working out, or hey, we've liked what they've been doing so far, let's fucking run with these two. Plus they ran MGM and stuff like that, right? And I think we've looked at it before, and I'll pull it up. Maybe I probably won't pull it up today because I'm trying to be a little quicker and stuff like that, but I think we pulled up their record, and it's like good stuff, bad stuff, but I don't put too much stock in that because we talk about with Feige, right? Pull up Feige's record before fucking Iron Man. A few years before that's Man-Thing, you know? So you never know, it could change. And Mike DeLuca is apparently, it's almost like not a permanent intern. That sounds weird, but just sounds like it's his for now. You know, it's not even official. Or maybe it is official, but they're not even putting it out there. And that's fine to me because either one, I can't remember the article too was saying that, I will pull it up, I guess, that they had made several decisions already about like Aquaman and stuff like that. Here we go, I'll pull it up. But either way, the rumor was Hamada said no. The Rock went over his head, got to talk to DeLuca and Abby and everything like that. And that's what started. Here we go. So Michael DeLuca and Pam Abby, I was right. Warner has intense desire. Yeah, about Superman. We talked about that. And sorry, I just got off work, so that's why this thing was a little unprepared. After Hamada said no, Johnson went around the executive, turning to DeLuca and Abby. Oh, not Abby. Abdi, Pam Abdi, there you go, who gave it the thumbs up. A furious round of negotiating occurred before Labor Day, and the deadline insisted Warner's, go forward with some more conversations. I'm not going to say more, but and that was just it, right? And then with the Hamada stuff, it was unclear. Here's the other thing, because they were talking about like him wanting to do the other Superman thing. It's unclear Superman moves with J.J. Abrams, who is still on track to produce the Coates movie centered around the last son of Krypton. The feature would exist outside any larger movie DC continuity, like Todd Phillips' Joker. The mega producer had setbacks with a few DC shows. They're now being shopped around, but he is not out of the game yet. Yet another Hollywood power in the mix vying for a piece of DC. I know that says that. I don't believe that. I don't think this Superman film's happening. Maybe a Max series, if most, and sure, like a Joker. But if Cavill's back, really don't think so. I think it's off the table. I think it's a different situation than the Joker thing right now. Oh, there goes my water. If Cavill does a film and some crossovers, then they want to do that. Oh yeah, I could see that. But before or during, no, I don't see that happening. And with this, all this takes place as Hamada, who did not attend the Black Adam premiere, packs away the final personal effects from his Burbank studio a lot ahead of the last day sometime this week. The executive is not even taking a producing deal with the studio, a move that's traditionally among execs who are being let go or but given a soft landing and a courteous thank you for your service. To many, that action speaks volumes about how rough the transition from the AT&T era and Discovery under Zaslav has been, including controversial Batman cancellation. So pretty much like in layman's terms, they let him go / fired him. You know, like that's what it is. And to me, this is like, then you have to get into a spoiler of just like if you had... I no matter what think the baggage, it was a bad decision not to bring back Henry Cavill Superman. So you have The Rock pitching this, and again, this has really proven that The Rock did have a huge hand in this. And whatever you want to say about The Rock, and sometimes we meme about The Rock, man, I gotta give it up to The Rock if and when Henry comes back, because it sounds like again, you could read the tea leaves, right? Rock wants Superman in film. Hamada says no. Rock goes to other producers. They say yes, and this guy's out the door. Even without reading Black Adam stuff, you'd know, hey, stuff's going on with Superman and Henry Cavill, right? So I'm happy about that, and The Rock and all the stuff, because one of my original topics was about the Rock, actually my main topic, and he's just been on the press this week talking about it's funny. Someone's like, so how will this showdown go? And he's like, well, I don't know if it's necessarily a showdown. He's very much walking it back. Here's my prediction. And this is what Espa was asked in a Patreon post. You can do that every day when you join Patreon. Ask a question, whatever you want, topic, concern, statement, I guess. But anyway, so yes, when would we see Black Adam? Russ asked about how many. Oh, that was your other one. How many people did they kill? Go check out the predictions episode for Black Adam, which I think people are getting excited because that one did pretty well. So thank you for people that listen to that with Kirklin and Taylor. But what would be your ideal plan for Black Adam's next appearance in the DCU? And that kind of goes with The Rock has been talking about. I won't say Justice League 2, but like big plans, big movies, like he crossover, Justice League, what Infinite Crisis, all that sort of stuff. He even talked about Shazam. He said before, which you can go back and forth. It could be an ego thing or it could be right, because he said that the script he got, he liked it enough, but it just felt like if I'm trying to be Black Adam as its own character that's going to spin off, this script was messy and I didn't like it. I think he kind of walked it back because I think the original statement he said made it sound like it was just not good for The Rock. There's a story about a wrestler, I think it's Bubba Ray Dudley and Bully Ray, talking about like, oh, well, I could do this and this and I could do this, and The Rock, and I think he would do this a few times, and it's like kind of known as like a shot to wrestlers, but still jokingly, and he'd go like, you know what, that's a great spot for you, but it's not a great spot for The Rock. And that's where it became like, I think it was serious at one point, but it kind of became a meme backstage. It's like, oh, that's great for you, but what's great for The Rock? And it's not that. And that's what that sounded like, the Shazam thing. Like, oh, that's great for Shazam, but it's not good for The Rock, and it's not good for Black Adam. And I'm fine with that because I like Shazam enough, and I understand too if Rock is this big actor, he wants to go with the bigger character actor, right? But he even mentioned here, now it could be word service, but either way, Rock knows how to play the fucking game, and this week he's been playing it well. Word service, I feel like he's been, for the most part, there's some fucking assholes that are always going to hate the guy or the new DC without Snyder, but I don't really care about them because it's like, well, you got 3 movies, you luckily got Zack Snyder's Justice League, just enjoy it, and I don't know, find some other joy in your life, please. But anyway, so he was talking about all this stuff. What's my ideal next plan? I know people go, oh, we're likely going to get Black Adam 2, which could be like Black Adam versus Superman. Not that. My ideal plan would be the counter where I think you got to do a Superman solo film with Man of Steel, and then you'd almost counter of like an end credit with Black Adam and that, and like kind of this teasing of each other. I don't know if you want to jump to him being the villain right away, because Black Adam clearly is not going to be the villain of the DC universe or stuff like that. I think he's very much an anti-hero, like they're showing off and stuff. So I think you go with Superman and doing his movie, and then maybe you get a cameo there or a small appearance. With this whole showdown thing, I think honestly, there's the two best it's not Shazam. I think that's going to be in a crossover thing. The two best options are either Black Adam 2 or Justice League 2. And I think because what they're going to do is you can have a Hulk versus Thor-esque moment, right? They even have that in Black or in fucking Justice League, right? Superman versus the League. I think that's where you get opposite sides. Because remember, we've heard these rumors of the Suicide Squad versus Justice League versus Black Adam. Please don't call it that. But that to me is, I think, the next ideal or likely path. I just don't see them doing Superman Black Adam as a solo film. I don't see them being the villains of each other's film. So I think that's the way where you put them in Justice League, but you put there being some sort of dynamic, a problem, and the big fight happens in that. And that's a fucking way to sell Justice League. You can sell it a bunch of ways. Imagine, again, you got fucking Ben Affleck back, you got The Rock with Gal and Momoa, like just The Rock and Momoa. Like there's so many things to do here, right? Rock and Cena for Peacemaker, but like there's so much stuff to do that I think that it's very easy to put him in there. I've always thought he's going to be in the Justice League because he just, thinks he's that big of a guy. And he is to a point. Well, let's see how big Black Adam goes. But I feel like he feels like I'm Justice League worthy. So that's my ideal thing, is I think he will be in Justice League 2 as not necessarily on the team, but like helping the team. Their issues kind of interlined, but then there is a bigger issue. And that's where I think in middle of the film, you get a Superman Black Adam fight. I think that's what they do instead of their own separate films. And then they respect each other, but don't like each other, and they move on. That's what I'm thinking. But lots of options. But again, I still think the Superman solo film is the way to go. Establish Cavill back. Again, I'm still in the camp of having a new director. I think that's a good tone. And not because I don't want Snyder. I'm sure I'm fine if he were to come back and do DC stuff. I just think for Superman, let's get someone new in there. Not necessarily James Gunn, not necessarily Taika, but Christopher McQuarrie would be the perfect place, but that all comes down to timing, right? So we'll see. But speaking of James Gunn, well, we're actually going to take an ad break, and then we're going to speak of James Gunn. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So we got two things here. I think that's pretty much left of the DC article, but two still bigger things where James Gunn, we've kind of known about this, but this isn't anything crazy, but I love that they're like, he's working on a mysterious DC film. Like, I feel like the only way it's mysterious is because like they just haven't announced it and no one scooped it, you know. And that's fine. But to me, mysterious sounds like the way Smile was made, where he put out a teaser and be like, "Have you seen this teaser? Like, what is this movie?" I'd love if they did that with a DC movie, but I don't think they're doing that. Anyway, so he's working on a mysterious movie. It all makes sense. He said he's going to do more with them. He's working on a season 2 of Peacemaker. He's talked about doing other DC characters. I do think after Guardians 3, he's done with Marvel. So that makes sense. I don't know what it could be. And obviously, like, I suppose was even there about the Man of Steel, but that's where everyone's going to jump to that, right? Like that, a Suicide Squad versus Justice League scenario. Like, I don't know what it could be. It could literally just be Deadsport or Bloodsport. It could literally be he's gonna make a Weasel movie. Like, James Gunn could be doing anything, and I feel like when James Gunn went over to DC, we're like, fuck, like something big's gonna happen. I don't know if it's a chicken egg scenario. I guess they announced he was doing a Suicide Squad movie, right? But everyone was hoping that they're gonna announce he's going to DC and he's gonna get one of these big characters. And then did Suicide Squad, which was like, okay, a sequel to a big film, but we're like, and you got Harley Quinn, but we're just like, like this again, like a group scenario. So that's why I don't ever think that James Gunn, it's like, oh, he's for sure gonna do this. He's for sure gonna he's gonna do Justice League versus Avengers. Wow, that's big. But Justice League versus Suicide Squad. I think he said a few times that he doesn't really want to do those big crossover movies and stuff like that, right? So who knows what it could be. I'm not putting too much stock in it, but we'll wait and see and find out. And then the other one that came out today, which is a very interesting note, is that The Flash 2 is already being written right now. Again, very interesting timing for this thing comes out about Ezra's got their charges, could be this amount of money, 26 years in prison, he's pleading not guilty. But then you got The Flash being written now. For me, this fits as far as I don't know what it could do with Ezra. That all depends on what they choose and what they end up happening to them as far as court legality. Even if he gets innocent and that's all bypassed, even just their attitude, going forward. What does Ezra act like in the public? Are they well behaved? Are they nice? Do they do a media tour and goes well? We'll see. But what it does tell me is we've heard this all around of why this film's been pushed and why it's not going to get a bunch of recasts with a new Barry and stuff like that, as they genuinely really like the film and think it's really good. And there's even stuff of like this past week where, again, it's saying like even the Keaton stuff before, it's like, oh yeah, Keaton's getting taken out of Aquaman and Batgirl, like it's over, they'll probably add more Ben, stuff like that. There's always been the word is like they really like Keaton's testing well, they like that, and when this movie ends, Keaton's like the door is very much still open if you want to do more with Keaton. So it's not like all the regime change, like nope, it's that there's a report that said the script that they had stayed the same. And if we've talked about this before of what the end result of that script was, yeah, it's not like a fuck Keaton, stuff like that. So they clearly like this film, and they like enough to that I think they think it's going to be a hit. They think it's going to perform well and do well. So I get it, because it's something they got to do because they believe in this film, but there is still a lot of baggage to go with Flash 2. So let's get through Flash 1 first, but this could just be written in like something ready to go, because this could be a situation where if everything goes well with Ezra and the movie goes well, that's one I believe where, okay, Monday morning, Flash 2, X, Y, and Z, so we'll see. But let me see if I missed anything in this article. I think I hit on everything. I had the Rock stuff, Matt Reeves stuff, JJ, everything like that. And what was the quote about James Gunn too? Sources tell us that Gunn and producer Peter Safran are in talks with Warner for a mystery movie, possibly more that Gunn would tackle. Safran is already in DC business, being producer on Shazam and the upcoming sequel for Aquaman. Warner's had no comment, but one insider observes carving for the comics company intellectual assets is happening. DC is definitely in place, says the person. How much play depend on your perspective from inside or outside the studio. While it isn't clear what hero team Gunn would be targeting, the writing director would focus on a second season of Peacemaker first, and that just talks about Superman. So yeah, it just sounds like lots is fluid at DC, and hopefully that's good stuff. Hopefully, this article to me reads pretty much nothing but positive. I think it's 100% positive. So if we get more stuff like that, we're looking really good. So. Let's see. I think we're done with DC now. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, so we got some quick Marvel stuff. So finally, I think we can maybe say that Mephisto has been confirmed, because my goodness. So rumor comes out next. Rumors coming out next week. I got a scoop for you. No, rumor comes out last week that Sacha Baron Cohen is playing Dormammu, which I thought was odd, but I was like, okay, I understand that, because I always said at some point with Dormammu, it can't just be Benedict's CGI head up there, right? I definitely want the Fireball one, and I guess if you do just the Fireball, you could just do Benedict's voice, but I always thought they might want to go different on an actor, and they were supposed to be doing Ironheart, because Ironheart, the whole thing is it's tech versus magic, right? Okay, fun, whatever. Actually, I guess I'm more for it, because at one point when I still miss some of the tech side of the Stark stuff, but I think we're gonna get that with Armor War. So boom, scratches that itch, right? But then it came out that no, as The Rock would say, that scoop was wrong. And shout out to SBubs' Marvel Studios account. SBubs, if you're in the chat, drop it, or follow SBubs, he'll retweet it. But it's an aggregator of the Reddit page and news and rumors and stuff, and it's all varying degrees from the S plus, the S tier to the F tier. It's great, and they always say, hey, this is 4chan, stuff like that. It's worth a follow, and he's getting a lot of, it's Marvel Studios spoilers, I think, and it's he was getting a lot of actually, I'll shout him out. He's a guy in the chair. I can't just say, oh, it's this. It's because the reason I still know it off by heart, I suppose, is because you have the other actual Marvel Studios ones. But if you want Marvel news, you want to do this, it's at Marvel Studio News. Look at that, Studios. So, but it's M, so M Studios News. So there you go, guy, man, chair, person. I digress. So I can't remember who put it out, but that one tweeted out, and that's what's got a lot of place. That was good for him. That he's not playing Dormammu. The rumors he's playing Mephisto, and it sounds like it's legit this time. Because remember, the Mephisto stuff was always, I guess there was some stuff, there was theories of with the twins and what happens with Mephisto and story stuff, but it was all fan speculation. Even when Evan Peters got cast, oh, he's playing a mystery role, so we went up, like the James Gunn film, up. That's Mysterio or Mephisto. Hopefully I didn't say Mysterio a few times. Maybe I ruined the opening of this, but that's Mephisto, but it wasn't. And there's multiple times where that's Mephisto, it wasn't. And now we're finally at the stage. Now, it's funny where I guarantee, and I actually didn't look at the reaction again, because I don't know what the reaction is. So I just, in my mind, I should have looked actually, but in my mind, I could see so many people go, Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat and Bruno and all this stuff. He's gonna be Mephisto. That sucks. Mephisto's the devil. Now, there's two coins of this. Go back and read Comic Virgins, or listen to Comic Virgins. We did Loki, Journey, and a Mystery, and this happens all other times too. He is he's a devil in a thong, and he's played very kind of, I won't say goofy, but zany, very kind of just out there. He's not normal. I think there's been times where I think the gala, he's very flamboyant and stuff like that. And then you have, to me, why this is a perfect pairing, and some people might not get this, but Sacha Baron Cohen can be a dramatic actor. He can really pull it off. He has that level. It's just obviously the comedic stuff's bigger for him, right? But to me, it's he can pull the drama off, and then he can pull, Sacha Baron Cohen can be, I said this in a tweet, can be dramatic when he needs to be dramatic. And Mephisto is zany when he needs to be zany, which Baron Cohen can be. Now, I don't think he's going to get to the Bruno levels or Borat levels, but I looked at this you need someone playful for Mephisto, and not all versions, but I think the version they're going to go for, especially the MCU, because you could joke, stuff like that. Now, I think there is a route where, yeah, you could go too hard. If they just make him full-on comedic and just full-on very flamboyant, then okay, I don't necessarily want that Mephisto. I don't want him just to be a joke, which I feel at times he has been, right? Just kind of off the side, very easy villain, and it's because he's a devil, he's evil, but they kind of make fun of him. I don't want that. I'd like him to be somewhat of a threat, and I know Cohen can do it. So I'm for this. I would have never thought we would have got an Ironheart out of all places, but I'm for this, especially because we're getting more into the darker realms and magic realms, and bring it on. Most of the stuff in that realm and as Phase 4, the darker magic supernatural stuff, I've loved. So bring on more of it. Bring on that juice. And then the other report is we got the Daredevil main plot line. So apparently the rumor is right now that it's going to be Bob. Oh, jeez, Louise, I read a tweet about Bobby Lashley and wrestling. It's going to be centered around him running for the Devil's Reign one, where he runs for mayor. So never actually read it. I think I read an issue, but I don't think I've actually read it. So either way, or no, sorry, I'm not thinking of that. No, I've got them mixed up in my head. I've read the mayor one, not the newest one. They have different. I'll look it up after. But they have different titles that are very similar and stuff like that. But either way, it's been a while because I remember me and Chris talked about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's been a while. At least I'm messing up. But at some point, I read this arc that they were referring to, like the older one, right? At least I think they're referring to the older one. If not, then I've confused myself. But either way, Fisk has done the mayor thing before, and like I like this especially because you can go back to the newscast last week. Dylan Taylor talked about this as far as introducing there's early rumors of Spider-Man 4 taking place after Born Again, being a kind of pseudo sequel. And to me, that just sounds like it's not so much a pseudo sequel, just that the story takes place in New York and it is about street level stuff, right? And to me, I guess it was actually Kirklin Taylor. To me, I think that you can put in Cox and Fisk and maybe even one more, but at least even just Cox and Fisk. Cox and D'Onofrio, I should say Cox and Fisk very lightly and stuff like that. But Cox and D'Onofrio, I think that is warranted of the big MCU crossover now, because I think Daredevil's hidden so well. Before I was like, are those two big enough? Because you had Sam Jackson, big star, you had Downey, you had Benedict Cumberbatch. I still think they could add one more just to spruce it up a little bit, but hopefully the MCU raises those two characters up. I'm all for that. I don't know. I'd have to look at my list. But as far as comic book pairings, Daredevil and Spider-Man, I'm with Brent for Marvel Alliance. I'm with Travis Hines for DC Alliance. That's probably the pairing I want the most. It's because it was like banged in my head after seeing the animated series and the episode of just Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up, the two-parter, one of my favorites. So that's the thing where I'm completely I just want that to happen so bad. And we're even just hearing some rumors like it's in our grasp. Now this mayor storyline, I would love this. And I actually wanted them to do this in the Netflix show. They did like a version of it, but I wanted them to do it a bit more. But what happened was they kind of, I don't know, they did like a rushed version of it, right? Every time Fisk came back in Netflix Daredevil, I was like, oh, he's going to be around for a bit. And they'd always like lock him up and beat him and put him in prison. So I thought, well, that storyline's kind of done. And then I thought, well, unless this is not, it goes back and forth, but unless this isn't canon to Netflix continuity, because he'd been exposed and been through so many crimes, like you can't do the Kingpin Mayor storyline. That's done. It can't happen. But as John Hazelton, a listener of GeekVerse and GUA, that's why I listen to Discord, he just pointed out, I'm not trying to offend, but it is true. And even to a sense this is true, I'll try and play it like just somewhat in the middle. Politics nowadays, anybody could potentially run for a mayor, president, whatever it may be. And he's American. He said this. American politics is, I'm being verbatim, is very fucked up. You know, like what's happening with it right now. And here's the example that I would say, and this is why I did turn around and go, you know what? That could be a conversation about the political system now, because he's done all these things and it's always for the best of New York, this and that. He said that. So that's the coverage there. He could literally do the make the New York great again thing. Like they could really play on the Trump vibes and play on the, like what Homelander does with that side of, you know, hard right wing stuff like that, right? Because, and I was saying this in the Discord, we're back in the day, other than Bill Clinton, I guess, but there's so many times where even if you just said the wrong thing or got caught maybe cheating or something, like something came out that was against your personality that you've put out in the public, that was it, you're done. Sometimes if you pronounce a word wrong, like, yeah, I made like a bad noise, you're like, nah, he's done. Nowadays, there's a few things. There's a few things you still can say that I think would be completely kill you dead in the water. But with Fisk, even if you take the Netflix continuity, growing up in New York, saying he was always just trying to do these things for New York and found out there's a better way if I do it this way and I want to change it from the system, and a recovered criminal, there is actually a way. I didn't think so, and I think there's a way now, because there's so much stuff. I'd love to look at our reviews in the past, but there's so many times where I'd say, well, this isn't realistic. This could never happen. And now it's either we do retros or we do movies now where I go, you know what, this is unrealistic. But unfortunately, I can believe it. Like I don't think this would happen, but it probably would after a few years of COVID and the and even a little bit in Canada here, the divisiveness of the political system. So now, after he said that comment, I was like, you know what? Actually, yeah, I could believe that somehow Fisk could run for mayor, have a redemption story, and win. You know, that's the way. Like, I don't care. You can not stop listening. It's a personal thing. It's fine. We all have things, but the fact that Donald Trump still became the president after all that stuff that he said, stuff in the past that would have been, if there is a videotape or an audio recording of just talk about not the stuff he's alleged of him talking about grabbing a woman by the her nether regions. Back day, you would have been dead in the fucking water. Campaign over. Done. See ya. Goodbye. Nowadays, nah. Just a thing. Just a thing. Is he going to build that wall, though? Fucking idiots. But, yeah. So, you know what? I could believe this, but I'm all for that, too. If he's becoming the bigger villain he does become the mayor and he kind of has a chokehold on New York and that's where Spider-Man gets involved. Oh, yes. Sign me up, please. So, yeah, looking very forward to that. I hope that's all true and everything. I like the storyline, like the idea, loving what we've got with Cox and Marvel so far in the MCU. So bring it on. Finally, we got some quick hits right now. Got the Halloween box office. So this is an interesting situation because people have been talking back and forth of what it is and everything. So I think it was Wednesday. It was supposed to be a 50 plus box office, and it still was good. It was still, I think it was. Oh, let me search it up. Brent gave me a new site, and Brent's probably tuned out now because he's like, I'm not fucking listening to Travis talk about Halloween. The numbers. I think this is the one he's talking about. Yeah. So Halloween ended up with a 40 million estimate. Now, lots of times, too, the people that put out estimates, they're usually lower. So you can go, oh, look. So you could almost look at this as, yeah, it is bad because they put out 50 as like a lower end, and it went below that, right? There's a few things going on here. I don't think this is the end because you look at its openings before we talked about this on the review. So many in the past were like 28 million, 16 million. It's like, it's still really good. It doesn't probably have that big of a budget. Let's see if the number is listed and everything like that. Worldwide. I don't know if it does, but I will take a look and see it. But either way, I think there's a few reasons why did it maybe drop? And again, they're projections, so they're not like 100%, right? But I think this one's purely word of mouth, and I'm very interested because this got a C+. Now, this one I feel like has bigger, like, Kills came out, and people definitely like Kills. And so what? It had a $20 to $30 million budget and already made $58 million back. And I know you got a double, but still, it's $2 million away from doubling its budget. So like after that, like probably after tonight, it's gonna be profitable. They're fine. DVD sales, stuff like that. We'll get a sequel at some point one day, I imagine. I think the Halloween franchise is completely fine. So, why did it have? So it went to 2018, 75 million, and then it went from, I think it was 45 million for Kills, and then 40 for this. So it dropped, and obviously a bigger drop from 2018. I know people compare it to 2018, but at the same time, to me, it's like, yeah, that was so big because that was Blumhouse getting it. They were giving it the whole, jeez. My new setup, I need to find a spot for the water because I've kicked it over multiple times. Oh, I was putting it back here, this table. Why did I stop that? No idea. But 2018, it was a legacy sequel. We haven't been in Halloween for a while, and it's Jamie Lee Curtis. To me, unless the sequels quality-wise were going to be as good as those, and even here's the thing, even if 2018 was really, really good, great, which some people think, but I think if the majority of people thought it was great, which I don't know. I really don't know as far as what is I feel like it's lessened, but people I feel like definitely look at 2018 and say it's good. But I don't think it was overwhelming. Like this is one of the best horror film slasher stuff like that. No, I don't think it's that. But I think that came out, people liked it, but Kills was the kicker. And Kills did the whole Peacock and theatrical release, right? And there's tons of people think that's a terrible idea, a good idea. I think now, I was fine with it then. It made sense. I don't know business-wise why they did it now. Because I think they definitely left money on the table. They left money on the table for me. I chose to stay at home and use my good old VPN. And hey, you got an account to watch Peacock? Great. I'm going to use it because, yeah, look, I don't care. Didn't pay for it. Didn't illegally steal it or anything. I have a login. Someone is paying for it. Not paying for it for Halloween, but they're paying for it. I would have, and my lady, Emily, we would have paid if it was only theaters to go see it. Because one, the review, and plus I still wanted to see it. I was not, and go listen to our review. I was a bit more positive on it. I still wanted to see it, and surprisingly, I was positive on it more than I thought. But even with me being like, man, I can't wait for this to end. I haven't been happy with. I wasn't extremely happy with 2018. Kills was a big disappointment. I still would have went to pay to see it. Now I know they want to try and get their Peacock service up. It's so funny because I feel like every time Peacock comes up, last time it came up, it was like, oh, it's trying to help with the fledgling service. Like that's what's going on. Where Peacock's definitely, it has millions of subscribers, but it's definitely like more bottom of the barrel. And I didn't get to look. I think Taylor shared something in our group where it's like the most streamed Halloween or like Peacock release. It's like, sure, but like what is released on Peacock really? You know, like that's not a big, like it's cool to be number one, but it's not a big thing, right? So I don't think the dual release was needed here. Some people theorized that they thought the movie was so bad that they're going to do that. And I don't agree with that, even though you could maybe make that case because the fucking online has been crazy. We talked about it in the review, but it is The Last Jedi, BVS, stuff like that, like Last of Us 2. Like it is very mixed. Every time it's fun. Like to me, it's fun, man. It's funny, but when I do scroll my timeline or I search Halloween, it is just, and it's from people I know, not like just random Twitter accounts, which I did see at one point because I was looking for a meme. There's a great meme that I liked and I linked Taylor, and you can go to my Twitter. I can't say it here because it spoils the movie, but goddamn, it's using Black Swan. I fucking keep laughing my ass off with that. But it is just, and I think even SBub shared a photo of Letterboxd too of like, oh, look at this guy chaos, and it's like, you know, 5-star, 1-star, 5-star, 3-star, 1-star, like it is completely mixed. So I could see maybe there were enough executives that went, you know what, I don't know about this, but they're already releasing in theaters, so they're paying for the money, so that's why I don't really buy it. So the drop is, I thought you got Kills. That's one reason why people, I don't think, like, I don't know. It's interesting, right? Because here's the thing, because Kills had a better cinema score, and this is where I'm going to say, and kind of push back against the Kills thing. Like, Kills wasn't great, but you know what it does? It scratches that Halloween itch. I want to see Michael Myers in a slasher. People, you know, that one didn't really have sex in, but the sex, drugs, rock and roll model, right? And that's what people are probably expecting with Ends. Ends is not sex, drugs, rock and roll. Even though it has more sex in it than Kills, it's not that type of vibe. It's very serious. There's character studies going on, for good and bad. Whatever you think about it, it is trying to be a deeper film. I think that's sometimes where it fails. Go watch a movie or check out a review. It's all there. But if you look at the cinema score, and I wasn't surprised by it, it was a C+. Now, people kind of, I've seen so much on Twitter, people are like, oh, I got a B on cinema score. That's pretty good. No. Like, if you go from like an A plus to, I think there's been a few, but if you go from like an A to an A minus, it's like a huge step down, like cinema score things. It's not so much like a 76 to 77. So when you're getting in that B range, that's like people are like, it was decent, it was fine. Once you're getting into that like C, like D and F are obviously like some of the worst. I think Hereditary got an F. C plus is just like that. It's fine. Like, it's like the C range is just like a mix of 50%. Like, you just passed, you know? And I think as this film, and what I think could have done with the drop is, and I could be wrong, maybe they just overestimated, but what I think happened with the drop is this film has come out, obviously you get reviews and stuff like that, but horror films, like, they're still doing good right now. Smile's making a bunch of it budget back. Did not like that film, but good for Smile and good for that crew. They're gonna make like 5 or 6 times their budget back. $17 million budget. I think it's like a 123 million or something like that. Like, good for them, because I just want horror to do well. I'll maybe watch Smile. Actually, I don't know. I maybe would watch Smile too, just because me and Taylor had a good time. You know, I don't know. I probably won't watch a movie with him after the ladder match because, you know, we don't really talk as much anymore, and pick mass inside, and I don't even want to get into my trauma and stuff like that. I just think about that, you know. Now I guess I'll have to see with him business wise, but won't have that friendly thing because, you know, man picks his wife over me, my God. But I think what happened is, if there is any word of mouth, which is not good, I think that, or maybe not good, but I think the word of mouth was, it's not the slasher. I think that did spread. And if it's Halloween mood and that's the only movie out, which it's not, but even if it's Halloween mood and this movie's out, a movie called Halloween with Michael Myers, I think even if it's all right, people, let's go still see it. With it having on Peacock, that's the hurt thing. I think if it gets great reviews and it's on Peacock, this still does better because, or if it's not even great reviews, it's just like a one positive, like, hey, this is a fun movie. It does better because I still want to be in the theater and scared. If you get enough people being like to me, this is a closer to like an A24 Halloween movie where people are gonna, I didn't really like that. Like, it's not really the Halloween movie I like. It's not sex, drugs, rock and roll. It's not fun. It's not what I expect. It's not, and I do agree with this. It's not what it's advertised to be. The whole big showdown between Laurie and Michael. It's not that. I think they kind of cheated a little bit with the marketing. So for me, I think it's a combo of people are saying it's all right. Do you want to see it? Well, we could just watch it at home. Like your dad has Peacock, or let's get Peacock, stay in. That's what it is. Now it could happen later on. I'm very excited to see, because I love box office, see what the drop is next week, because you have it came in below expectations, has Peacock still going, has these, I think the word of mouth is to me not good. A C plus not good. And I just feel like general, it's that mix of sometimes when it's mixed general audience, just stay away from it because they're not into the debate of, I want to see what this, like us film fans, when we hear films mixed, we're like, fuck, like I can't wait. What are people talking about? Other people might be like, I don't know if I want to spend $12 on that. Like I'll spend $12 on this movie that's like rated 89%, like A Smile, which is I think only 70 or something, but still, right? And then you got Black Adam. I still think they're different enough. I think this film is going to be successful enough because it's Halloween, especially that last week. People are going to want to go out, see some films. So maybe if they haven't caught it yet, they're like, oh, let's go see it. Let's have some fun at theaters. But I think Gatisha Pan, I'm not sure how you say it, but their projection was like going to finish like a domestic 70 or something. It's like, oof, like it finishes domestic 70, that's like 5 million under Halloween, the 2018 one, the reboot, or like, the legacy sequel. I don't think it'll do that. I think it's going to pass at least. If it doesn't, I consider that being, And I would say that they will do another Halloween at some point, but yeah, wait a little bit, give it some room. And I think like a full reboot's the way to go pretty much, start over. Like I said, my pitch is do what they did in Halloween Kills, that opening with the 80s stuff, do that. So I do know in the notes I see that I have a Midnight Club review and a Spirit Halloween review. I have to go actually because I spoke a bit longer and stuff like that. And good thing I didn't use the chat. I love having the chat. Don't get me wrong. I just had a time frame for this podcast. It's up now, and the chat, I love it, and chat's great. I always prefer to have the chat, but those are the times where it's like when I'm free to do it. I don't, and that's why we give the patrons the opportunity. Thanks for S-Pubs for joining and stuff like that. And I saw a couple other people in there, so thanks even if you didn't throw comments in there. And I'll do those either another Travis told you, or if they're not even that big, you can check out my letterbox. But Spirit Halloween, Disney Channel 90s movie made in the 2002s or 2022s, and Midnight Club. I'm not done yet, but if you love Flanagan, this shit's fucking great. So thank you very much for tuning into a Travis Told You, and I promise when you hear from me next, it'll not be boring.